On. Hi there.
Hey Shayla, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Paul?
I think I think you I think you're supposed to say you're aging well.
I am aging well with a broken arm.
Oh, well, we've been talking about how to age ungracefully over the course of the last couple of these sessions, and it seems to me that our uh, that for me anyway, the reality is rapidly approaching. In a couple of days, I have a milestone birthday,
Yes, you
uh,
do.
and you just had a milestone birthday. So, um, aging ungracefully is relevant to say the least. And I think that any successful program starts with a personal vision. And so today, I thought explore would identify, conjure, whatever word that works best, personal vision for aging ungracefully. What do you think?
I think a healthy vision for aging well is critical for success and for sticking to it.
Right. So let's start with you. Okay.
Okay.
Tell me what your vision looks like. Paint me a picture. What would you look or feel or act like if you achieved this vision, the fullness of this vision? And what kind of person do you want to be when it comes to your health, fitness, or wellness? Let's start with what it looks like.
Well, it looks like more of the same. It looks like someone who is fit and able. I don't want to be limited in the fun. I don't want to say I can't do something because I'm not able to do it. I'm not fit enough to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, I want to. I want to just carry on. I want to make sure that um, all of my years are full of things that I like to do. Sometimes that means doing things that are more like maintenance, but I want to, I want to be that old lady who passes people on skis or runs up a mountain or, I don't want to succumb to the couch. I want to be alive for all of the years, regardless of how many they are.
A coach
I
tomato.
don't want to be a
Yeah.
coach tomato. No.
Well, apart from your arm, which seems to be knitting nicely, you've always been kind of a role model for me and for other members of the community, and so I think that you have the capacity to be that old lady that skis past everybody else. For myself, I'm thinking I would like to optimize the unit, right?
Hmm.
That there's a because I'm not where you are, uh, and I want to get closer to that. I don't necessarily have to get there. I don't have to be able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. But like you, I've watched you leap tall buildings in a single bound, and I'm quite impressed. But I do need to find that sweet spot, right? A place where I feel that I have indeed optimized, and or maybe find myself on the threshold to something new. But but if I start with optimization, that will be, I think, the place where I want to be. So,
What, yeah.
I think,
What does
I think,
optimization look like to you? Like, what does that mean to you? That's,
yeah.
yeah,
What would that person look like?
yeah.
Well, that person will look healthy and happy,
Well, that's a nice, yeah,
and healthy, happy, and fit.
yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and there's, I could calibrate it. I suppose I can go and get specs, but I think that will come if I just have that vision of happy, healthy, and fit.
That sounds
So
enjoyable.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. So in terms of your vision, um, you've laid out a number of things that you think are important. What's the elements that you value most about your vision?
Well, health is definitely something that I value greatly. based on, what I do for a living, I see a lot of people who have traded their time for their health and fitness. And I've seen the results, and I can say that no amount of money is worth that to me. So that is really important, is to do what I can to maintain my health and fitness, and to continue to do that. That's a very powerful motivator. As you said, I just had a birthday, and this birthday I was the same age as my dad was when I was born, which, is, he was 54. So guess what? I'm 54. And my parents were pretty healthy, but he had really high blood pressure. So I grew up taking my dad's blood pressure, and we ate really well because of that. So, I've had a really personal experience with the changes that you can make to prolong your health and fitness, and also what happens when you don't with my clients. So I see that every day. It's a very powerful motivator. You can't buy your health. You can't buy your fitness. You can't put it off. And it inspires me to look after myself every single day.
Well, that sounds inspiring to me. I guess the question answers itself, and the question is, why would we even bother? Why is this so important, right? And do you have some insights into that?
Yeah, I think maybe we don't realize sort of what we miss immediately. It's little by little, then all at once. You think, oh, I'll just exercise tomorrow, or I'll start eating better on Monday, and before you realize it, you've got this giant mountain to climb, as opposed to just doing a little bit every day. And I think that's really easy to to not notice until it's a big deal.
That seems, if you think about it, that seems kind of crazy, doesn't it? But nibbled to death by ducks.
Exactly. Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Exactly.
And, there's always something screaming at you for your attention. And we're also really good at putting other people's goals and expectations before our own. There's all these demands, whether they are real or perceived. And to remember that, what's important to you is critical as well.
I think that there's an element of gravity in here too, of entropy, right?
Yeah.
The unit has a propensity to kind of fall apart, right? And unless you take seriously the idea of maintaining it and improving the unit, right? Your physical being, what'll happen is that you'll wake up one day and you will have that mountain to climb.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's a tough one, as somebody who has found myself at the base of the mountain on more than one occasion. It's tough getting back up.
It can be, and I think the benefit for you is that how good it feels at the top when you've never done something. I think that can be a really tough mountain to climb. And we also don't value fitness and health the way we value maybe some other things. We don't talk about it like a vital sign that it is. So, it is easy to succumb, because you could feel like you're the only one. You could feel like you're the one swimming upstream when everybody else is trying to get ahead, or going out and having fun, or, there's all these other things that you could be doing. And it takes a real commitment to yourself.
Seems as a temptation, once you on the slippery slope back downward, to go to the doctor as opposed to the gym.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's easier for your doctor to prescribe a pill than to prescribe exercise and eating well. First of all, we kind of demand it. If you went to the doctor and they said, well, here's a prescription for, take a walk every day for 30 minutes or eat more vegetables. you might find yourself thinking, well, why did I go? That's too simple. I should, there's must be something more difficult. And even though we know that exercise is as good as many medications for many types of chronic conditions, your doctor, may not know that much about exercise, but they also know that the likelihood of you doing it versus taking a pill is not very high. And even
Right.
the likelihood of you taking your prescriptions is only about 50%. So, they're juggling a lot of competing forces as well.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt that a friend of ours built for me, and it says "Defying Gravity." And to me, that's to some degree how it feels. But there's also more going on, and you're talking earlier about don't want to be left out of the fun. It's so interesting that that when you exercise, the things that there are things that happen to you that you didn't count on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those things don't get into exercise, articles or broadcasts or whatever, right? They're too small almost to notice, but there's so many of them.
Yeah, and I was just having a conversation like this with a client yesterday who was saying, she was going out for dinner a lot in February and had been working on, eating better and losing weight. And we were talking about once you start eating better and you start feeling better, you notice that things don't taste as good when you go out. Like it's not as much fun because it tastes, it doesn't taste as good as what you made it, or you don't feel the way you do normally when you wake up the next day. Like she was talking about how her fingers were swollen because there was so much salt in her dinner. And you're like, you don't notice that when you're doing it regularly. And then you suddenly start noticing it and thinking, well, actually my definition of fun is changing along with my health and fitness.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. My definition of fun now includes squats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I gotta say, I can't imagine admitting that under it, 6 months ago even. But the thing that squats do is that they make your knees stronger, and if your knees are stronger, there's so many things you can do.
But so much saying there's so much more fun. And we actually talked about this too. Like you don't want to talk about that out loud because you sound a little bit like a weirdo. Like,
totally like a weirdo. No. What's your secret? Squats.
Yeah. The king of all exercises. Do some daily.
Okay. So, how close are you to your vision?
Closer. I have drifted away and closer at various points in my life. Gravity has definitely is kind of tempting. I've had, accidents or injuries or just, sort of mental injuries that sort of make it you're less motivated, but currently closer and trying to maintain that. But I think everybody goes forward and back. I don't think that's unusual. I think that it's hard when you think the gap is the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not at the Grand Canyon level. Yeah. What would you say? How close are you to optimizing, Paul?
Yeah, that's a good question. Before I admit to where I'm at in the optimization spectrum, I would like you to let me know, or do you know what it will feel like when you are there?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like one day you'll wake up and go, I'm there.
There it is.
Or will you wake up and go, oh, I got to go further because I already achieved my goal now. So I got to do more.
That's a really good question. I know how I have felt when I've been at my sort of peak fitness, and that would be optimizing. I'm close to that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think I would know when I'm there. I think it is very easy to try to do more, but really, I just want to maintain that.
Yeah, it's interesting for me. I ran my marathon PR more than a quarter century ago, and so there's no way I'm going to run my marathon PR. I mean, it's just not going to happen, right? I don't have the, as far as I can tell, the biomechanical resources anymore, even if I do optimize what I've got, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to happen. So I can't see that as a gauge. But what I can see as a gauge is a sense that I've done everything that I can do, and that's how that feels.
I think that's much more important. I think the
Yeah.
performance goals are fun,
Yeah.
but they're fleeting and they are changeable over time, whether it's due injury or motivation or, there's so many other factors that
Yeah.
aren't about you. And to have the factor be internal and personal, like these are the things I want to be able to do.
Yeah.
This is how I want to feel, is so much more important than a performance goal.
Yeah, like I know what my objectives are. I know what my benchmarks are. I know that all I have to do is do them, right?
Yeah, and then feel good
And
about
just
doing them.
doing them is not an easy thing, as we've discussed on more than one occasion. But for me, um, I I'm gonna feel that. I know what I'm gonna feel, and I know that it's gonna be good. So, but I know that it's not a walk in the park. If this were
And it's not a finish line. Yeah.
if this were easy, everyone would do it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you got in your tank that you can share with folks that helps you realize your vision? What is strength?
Well, you can look at things that you've accomplished in other aspects. Often people think, well, I can't do this. They have a sort of fixed mindset about their abilities. But, our talent, our natural abilities are a start. We can learn and grow, and challenges are normal. So look at other parts of your life where you've been really successful and see, well, how can I use those strengths of, that I have? Like, am I a good planner? Am I creative? In my case, I'm super stubborn. So, that can be a strength or it can be my downfall, but whatever. I'll use it as a strength.
Meeting your head against the wall. Let's keep doing this.
Let's keep doing this. It's fun. No. So realize that, you have been successful somewhere in your life. So using those strengths to be applied to yourself, it might sound like a new thing, but I think that's a perfect place to start. And I mean, what would you say your strengths are? What drives you, Paul?
That's a good question. I think I'm a little bit like you. I'm stubborn, quietly stubborn. I don't. I come across as compliant, but I'm not really.
No.
And so that's to me, that seems like a strength because I keep turning up, right? Even
Yeah.
even after long periods of lying fallow, I turn up again with my hoe in hand, right? Um, and um, and I also think that I'm creative, right? I can see what good looks like, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and I can, as you said earlier, I can access key moments from my past, right, that allow me to apply it to the current situations, current circumstances, and that there's this sense, I don't know what you want to call it, of what I call determined optimism. I mean,
Perfect.
it's
Yeah.
one thing to be a cockeyed optimist, a natural born optimist. I'm not a natural born optimist. I'm potentially a crepe hanger, but I am a determined optimist. I say to myself, this is going to work. This is going to be good. I'm walking on the sunny side, and damn it, and if I do that, I'll actually feel good, right?
Yeah. I like to call that a realistic optimist. You know that things can and probably will go wrong and
Yeah.
there will be challenges, but you believe in your ability to overcome them.
Exactly. Exactly. I believe in my ability to overcome it, or if I don't believe in it, I have faith in my ability to overcome it, which is like a little different, right? It's the the darkness or the fog or the cloud or whatever you want to call it of unknowing descends upon me, but I still go for it. Um,
Yeah, well, I think one thing about aging is you develop some resilience, which is necessary for aging ungracefully.
Indeed, indeed, resilience. Yeah, maybe I'm more resilient than stubborn. I don't know. Anyway, but there are these virtues or strengths or whatever you want to call them that seem to hold me in good stead, that keep me going, and that get me going again, which is
Awesome.
just as important. So, um, you're on your way to realizing your vision. What significant challenges do you think you're going to have to overcome or deal with on the way to reaching your? Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I mean, obviously, we all have accidents. I decided that I would learn how to ice skate, and I don't know how on a open on a lake that was super rough and not optimal conditions, and paid the price by breaking my arm. So I could just sit at home and feel sorry for myself and eat whatever coping food I liked, but
Chips.
I can't exactly chips, whatever you like, chocolate, you fill in the blank. So I can't cross country ski right now because I'm not allowed to swing my arm, and I can't run, and I can't do upper body exercise pretty much. So, I could just say, well, I can't do all these things, so I'll just wait. So I've been riding the spinning bike every day for an hour and doing leg weights, and often those kind of challenges set people back because they can't see that doing something will help them heal better, and it will be more fun when I have this cast off to be fit as opposed to have 6 weeks of sitting behind me. Challenges are everything, like injuries, illness, going on vacation, mental challenges like the motivation to do it, all of those things. So the one, I think that I'm pretty creative when it comes to a workout. I can always find a way to do it. You just want to make sure that if you don't have the pull, if you don't have the motivation to do it, you don't have a vision that means something to you, then the couch looks better and better all the time.
But you do have a vision, so you do have this challenge of the broken arm, but there are other challenges as well. What's the one that haunts you or concerns you most of all?
Probably mentally is the hardest one to get over. I mean, there's certainly been times where I've thought, oh, what's the point? And, haven't felt the normal amount of optimism and have just thought this is too hard. I'm not in, all of those things. And that's definitely harder. And it doesn't help because people expect it as as you get older. You could think, well, you're a woman of certain age, you should gain weight, you should be, it's easy to fall into that trap.
But you have a reputation to maintain as Superwoman, so.
I do. So that's very helpful. A little peer pressure goes a long way.
You better get your ass out of bed, because if you don't, your rep's going to suffer.
Exactly. And I don't, people are like, well, how can you ride the spinning bike for an hour? And I'm like, well, how could I not?
Yeah.
Like, the feeling terrible about not being able to do things I like, and feeling terrible because I'm not exercising. That's two
terribles.
That's two terribles. That's no good.
Yeah.
But it is easy to succumb to the everybody else is doing it.
Siren's Song of Sloth.
Yeah, and it pulls everybody. It doesn't matter who you are.
I have the Defying Gravity sweatshirt.
That's right. Yeah. What challenges do you think? What do you think is your biggest challenge?
The blurch.
The blurch.
I don't know whether everybody who's listening knows about The Onion, but The Onion is a wonderful cartoon out of Seattle that you can find online, and it's very, very droll and wry and dry and funny. Anyway, this guy, the author, has invented the blurch, and the blurch is this sort of mass of gelatinous blob that follows him around and makes him eat candy and cake.
Look at cat videos
Yeah,
and
right.
when he should
Watch
be doing something. Yeah,
all that kind of
exactly.
stuff
I love the
instead
blurch.
of going for a
Yeah,
run, right? And
yeah.
so the blurch is always at my heels. If I look over my shoulder, the blurch is breathing down my neck. So I have to keep an eye out for the blurch because he's wily, right? He may not, but the blurch's main problem is he can't go very fast because he's not in really good shape. So I can outdistance him even today.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's the blurch.
Uh, that's the blurch. I love the
So
blurch.
that's my biggest challenge, and I mean the other one is get fit, lose fitness, repeat. Get fit, lose fitness, repeat. Get fit, lose fitness, repeat. I've said this before. I feel like a meat yo-yo. I have gained and lost about 1 billion pounds, and gained it again, and then lost it again, and over and over and over and over. So I mean, it's better than just giving up at early stage and birching out, but it's wearying to say the least. And
Yeah.
instead of leaping tall buildings in a single bound, I'm starting over again. Right now, I started over again as of the beginning of January, and I'm doing really well. Right, but it would be great if I wasn't starting over again. It'd be great if I was building on the fitness that I already had.
Okay. So what would help that? What would help you not start over again?
Yeah,
What
well,
does this?
hey, that's
Yeah.
a great segue into where we're going next, which is strategies. So, what are the strategies that will work for me? What are the strategies that will work for you? I wonder. For me, it's follow the schedule. Right, that's the first thing.
Hmm.
Like, there's this. I don't know what you want to call it. This uncomfortable moment in the day when I decide to make sure that I go to the gym. Right,
Hmm.
and it really feels like it makes my skin crawl at times, right? Because I know that there's lots of other stuff I have to do, and that I can always come up with an excuse for not going to the gym. And but the good thing is I remember that when I go, nothing bad happens. In fact, everything good happens. And that memory is really important to dredge out of the archive, right? Because
It is.
because that helps you overcome that really awkward, uncomfortable moment.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, I always tell people to do exercise first. It doesn't really matter when you do it in terms of, what if you can't get up earlier or whatever. But if you do it first, you don't have to think about it. You just get up, do it. And then all of those demands on your time during the day, you don't feel like, oh, they keep pushing exercise farther and farther down the list.
yeah,
So doing it first is definitely a really good strategy. Having a schedule is really good strategy. Being publicly accountable is a good strategy. There's, having social support,
yeah,
keeping track so that you see, how far you've come. Because sometimes if you've worked out for a while, you feel like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. And then you look back and go, well, actually, it just feels easy now, but this used to feel really, really hard.
yeah,
So there's, the strategy has to work for you, but there's so many. And, finding the one that works with your life and with your sensibilities. What is it that, do you like to exercise in a group? And if you don't show up, everybody wonders where you are, or,
yeah.
you know,
Well, one of the things that works for me, and maybe we could share this with everybody because it's, hope is on the way, or help is on the way, and that is that I'm on a streak. So I can tell people that I'm on a streak, so that public accountability thing works, and it's just a way of excusing yourself from whatever it is that this other person thinks is more important than you are, and say, oh, I'm on a streak. I gotta go to the
I
gym,
gotta
right?
go.
Gotta go. And this could work for absolutely everybody because
Yeah.
and you can define the streak all by yourself. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 3 weeks. I think better than 3 days, but even 3 days is something. All right, for a lot of people who have never managed but 2 days together back to back. But for most of us, once we get to a month, let's say, the streak has value. And my
Yeah.
streak is now entering its third month. right? I
That's
have every
exciting.
single exercise date session that is on my schedule since the beginning of January, and so that's a powerful um, incantation, right? I say I'm on a streak.
It is powerful. And I want to point out, because I do know what your exercise program is that you're not doing the same thing every
No,
day. Yeah. And you do have a day where you don't exercise. Like that's part of your exercise program is to have a recovery
yeah, I
day.
find I really need it
So
too.
yeah, I
It does
bet.
good
So,
things.
having a plan, all of those, public accountability, all of those things that are important to you, because it is easy for people to distract you or convince you that something else is more important or they're more important. Their goals are more
Than yours.
important than
Yeah, right.
yours. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how they feel that way.
I know it is funny,
You
isn't
gotta
it?
stand up for your own little goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I think that we have a tendency to allow other people to distract us, and it's not there's nothing diabolic about it. They just
No.
that's how they feel about themselves. They said they're important. They feel important,
Yeah.
and they
Or
think we should have shared goals or something. I mean, there's lots of things, lots of those sort of little murky interpersonal things that happen that allow us to fail to fulfill our own objectives. But
yeah. Well, just think about when you have something that you don't want to
you know,
do, how clean your house gets, or, like all the ways you can distract
yeah, I was
yourself
gonna,
too. So,
say earlier that one of my strengths is procrastination, but that I'm not sure how that works. Okay, so we got now absolutely everybody's absolutely riveted by our visions, right? So I think what we have to do is we have to give them some insight into how to get started.
well, I would start with developing your own vision and think about what challenges you face and how you would overcome them, what motivates you, what are you good at, what's the very first step you could take, and make it like the tiniest thing. Like don't overestimate the smallest step. Don't underestimate,
Yeah,
I
don't
should say, the
underestimate.
smallest
Yeah,
step. Yeah,
yeah,
because we always think we're going to leap a tall building in a single bound, and it's not that way. It's tiny, tiny steps that take us there. Being consistent, that's my favorite word, Paul, makes all the difference. There's lots of ways to feel better, diet, exercise, sleep. Like there's no shortage of ways, but the key is that you start with something.
yeah. And I don't know exactly when you want to take stock or when you start to measure or whatever the benchmarks are, but you got to wait for them, right? You can't, you can't do squats on day one and think to yourself, okay, where's the transformation, right? I mean, this is a really horrible thing to do. These things, and planks too. That's the other thing. Should be outlawed. Should be internationally interdicted. Like terrorism. Anyway, so you're doing these things, and you're thinking to yourself, I hate this, but stay the course, right? Don't expect any revelations or transformations for a while. And then all of a sudden, one day you find yourself squatting with a 45-pound weight or a 50-pound weight or whatever it is, and thinking to yourself, gee, I felt strong today, right? And that's,
Yeah,
I mean, like that's priceless.
it
And
is.
nobody knows about it, right? I mean, we should take out ads on Google or something and say,
Yes. Should be billboards
that's right.
everywhere. Do you know how good
That's
you
right.
could feel?
Squats are good for you. So I mean, there's a sense that the first steps are once again an act of faith. But
Yes.
believe me when I tell you that 2 months down the line, they're more than an act of faith. They're delivering, and they're delivering good
Yeah.
stuff.
And it just makes life easier. I was just listening to a health and fitness seminar, and they were talking about like, why do people wait in line to take the escalator when the stairs are like
Yeah,
empty? And probably because the stairs are hard, because you haven't done any squats. If you did squats, you just run up the stairs and think, why are all those people waiting in line at
Yeah,
these
yeah.
stairs?
Stairs aren't as hard as they were prior to squats, which I can testify. I have
Yes.
personal experience. Anyway,
Well, we have many ways to start in terms of what makes the biggest difference. And I think I've mentioned this to you before, that sleep really is the sort of ruler of all our other abilities. So I think that's a good first step for us to take.
get a full 8 hours.
Yes. And the more you exercise, the more important it is. But the good news is the more you exercise, the easier it is to get a good night's sleep.
Fall asleep in the arms of slumber.
Yay, sleep.
Well, thank you, Shayla. Nice talking.
Thanks, Paul. Good to talk to
Talk to you
you.
soon.